The FBI has its hands full. Now they've got two major investigations going on simultaneously, so they've got to stay organized. The initial response to Boston was massive, and so they're going to have to reallocate some of their resources in order to now pursue this Ricin plot, which may or may not be connected, something which they won't do. For them, by now, I'm quite certain they've identified a number of persons of interest based on video and image analysis, and they're trying to track those people down.
And that's based, and you're referring specifically to Boston?
Yeah, back to Boston.
Persons of interest, and based upon your experience, typically a list like that would be, what, 10 people, 100 people, any sense?
My guess is dozens, if not over 100, will be of interest, and then they will winnow down, but they will prioritize it, and there will be a handful who are the top priorities.
And of course, the toxin that we've been talking about today in relation to the suspicious packages and letters has been ricin. Can you talk a little bit about how lethal ricin actually is?
So ricin, if it gets under your skin and into your bloodstream, is incredibly lethal. So less than a grain of salt is enough to kill you of ricin. But it really has to penetrate inside your body. If it's just on your skin, it's typically not lethal. So it's normally used for assassinations historically, and so someone would prick someone with it, and that's it. If someone inhales it, they could also get sick with it. But ricin is relatively stable and is not easily aerosolized and inhaled.
So can we learn anything or surmise anything from the fact that these letters and packages had ricin in them versus, say, another maybe perhaps more lethal, more quickly lethal substance? Yes,
ricin is the most easily acquired of all toxins and biological weapons. It's in fact not biologically active. It's not like anthrax. Anthrax really requires quite a bit of skill to assemble. Ricin, the basic recipe for doing it has been available in print form since the 60s. It's been done by extremists around the world. It involves castor beans and acetone, the right assembly. You have ricin.
So is it fairly easy to actually create?
Yes.
And why have we let that persist?
Well, you can't put it just exists in nature. I mean, the basic protein exists in nature in castor beans, castor oil. It's used for inks and making paper,
So not
products.
Necessarily malicious substances by themselves. It's when you combine the two together.
Right. It's how you process it and what your intent is for using it.
And you brought up intent. So can we surmise anything about someone's intent by using ricin versus something else?
This is multiple felonies and criminal offenses of using the mail system like this. But we really don't have an option of banning toxic substances. I mean, Botox, botulinum toxin, widely used for cosmetic surgery, is just as lethal as ricin. And this could easily have been bought rather than ricin.
And the psychology of telling the general public about all these letters, what's your take on the decision to release all this information?
Do they normally release this information and we just typically ignore it as the media?
No, it's a real dilemma for the government. Normally it's ignored. I mean, eventually it will get out, but it won't. The context will be such that people won't pay any attention. And the decision to release this in this case is, I think, driven by the following consideration. In general, it's bad form and sometimes illegal for the government to take protective actions for itself that it doesn't share with everybody else. And so there are if it were to withhold for only tell itself, meaning government buildings, that there was this threat to heighten procedures, and then there was an event on a trading floor, on a news desk, causing a fatality, that's very bad when that happens. So this is the dilemma, which is that consideration drives you to make the announcement. But once the announcement's made, everyone is profoundly dissatisfied because there's no there's no specificity, there's no clear answer about what to do, and it's something that this administration, the Obama administration, is wrestling with for the first time, as the Bush administration did in the weeks after 9/11.
Good point.